So this morning, I wake up and I've got text from people asking me, have you looked at the new interview with Evan Rachel Wood done by The Cut? And for those of you who don't know, The Cut has been the most reliably ridiculous media outlet for these Marilyn Manson accusers. Look, the first interview, an article that The Cut, and The Cut is a New York magazine, so we have New York Magazine to thank for this premier journalism, so-called journalism. But the first time The Cut covered this, they interviewed and did a write-up on Esme Bianco, and I thought that was I read out loud on camera because I thought it was just one of the most ridiculous excuses for journalism. It was so obvious that it wasn't journalism, down to the stylish photo shoots, and the writing, which was just so ridiculous. So I thought they couldn't top that. But then came The Cut's interview and write up on accuser Ashley Walters, complete with more fashionable photo shoots and overly emotive language and ridiculous leaps of logic and all of that. And then finally, though, I have to say, if you're watching, person who wrote this article, who is it? Angela Chapin. You've written all these articles. I actually feel like, do you have Venmo or PayPal or something, Angela Chapin? Because you have provided so much entertainment to me and so much fodder for my program as I read through and eviscerate your articles that I feel like I should pay you or something. But anyway, so contact me if you want. Maybe we'll work out something. Anyway, so yeah, they've outdone themselves with this Evan Rachel Wood article. I could not believe it. First of all, you have to see these pictures. They turned her story into an Alexander McQueen photo shoot. I mean, I don't know who thinks that this is appropriate or a good look, because it is just so brazen. They even say in the caption, wearing Alexander McQueen, styled by this person or whatever. They're not even trying to hide it. And the problem is they're blatantly commercializing what is supposed to be a serious sexual assault story and a serious story of abuse. And they're blatantly commercializing it. And turning it into these Vogue style photo shoots. I mean, the brazenness of it. I mean, it's ridiculous. And so I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, this is just insane. And then I actually started to read the article, and it did not disappoint. So what I want to do here, basically, this is the day that Phoenix Rising, Evan Rachel Wood's documentary, assault, I'll call that an assault, on Marilyn Manson, comes out tonight. Both parts will be available tonight for on-demand viewers, and then part 2 comes out tomorrow night. And like I said, I've already seen half of it. But anyway, I wanted to, with that coming up, I wanted to read through, I haven't read through an article in a while, and I wanted to read through this ridiculous interview and write-up that Angela Chapin, and The Cut did on Evan Rachel Wood. I guess we are to the point now. We are to the point in the weaponization of Me Too, and also in the utter sensationalism and complete loss of actual journalistic integrity that defines the modern media today. We are just so deep in that now that they don't even have to try. They don't even have to try to present a serious article. They can turn Evan Rachel Wood's BS story of assault and abuse into a Vogue photo shoot and this touchy-feely, ridiculous article with overly emotive language and leaps of logic. So let's read it. I could be mad, but you know what? Because I've been, since day one, I have been touting Marilyn Manson's innocence, and I have been trying to point out, along with some of you, trying to point out that this is a scam and a hoax that these women are running on him, and that Evan Rachel Wood is a very disturbed person. And Evan Rachel Wood, if you're watching, you are a very disturbed person. Get thee to a psychiatrist. I know you already spent some time in a mental institution, but I guess it didn't really help enough. Anyway, I'm just going to get to it. Now, I do have these glasses. These glasses, they broke, and so they're kind of sort of jerry-rigged or whatever the term is, right? And so anyway, you can laugh at my glasses, and they're like Coke bottle glasses because I have really horrible vision, right? But you can laugh at them, but whatever. I'm gonna read through it with these messed up glasses because I ran out of contacts. Things are kind of a mess in my life right now. There's been a lot going on, but anyway, Evan Rachel Wood faced her fear, and look at these pictures. And it's not just this one. Like the two other articles had these ridiculous photo shoots. I just couldn't bear living my life like that for one more second, or the thought of it happening to anybody else. Okay, that's the tagline. That's fine. Oh, you know what? And by the way, to anyone out there, any of my skeptics, or anybody coming to this fresh who might say, how dare you make fun of the way that that an assault survivor chooses to present their story? It's up to survivors of assault how they want to present their story. It's not up to you to criticize what she's wearing or the photo shoots or anything. No, actually I can, because you know what? I can smell BS. I can see BS when it is in front of me, especially when it's like flashing at me as bright as it's flashing in this ridiculous cut article. Okay, so don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. All right. Hello, Mr. Man. Evan Rachel Wood sings in a twangy falsetto, staring up at the penthouse balcony of the Chateau Marmont. Oh, that's a great way of starting it. Just very light and everything, right? It's all a game. It is all a game. It's all a game, right? She laughs self-consciously before diving back into the Alanis Morissette song. You didn't think I'd come back. Okay. You know, I don't, they did this in the other two cut articles. I don't understand why they have to start with this really sort of overly determined, overemphasized, these metaphors, or in this case, a song, you know, where they can make it really clear that the song, right, the song is connected to Evan Rachel Wood's feisty spirit. They did the same thing with Esme Bianco's interview. They talked about, in her interview, about dragon energy, because, you know, she was the actress on Game of Thrones with the dragons. Get it? So I feel like the same thing is going on here. They're starting off with this feisty Alanis Morissette song. I mean, come on. It's so obvious what they're doing. It's so obvious they're trying to manipulate us, and also that they're putting out this cheap entertainment. They're not even interested in the truth. They're just interested in sensationalism. Okay, I'm going to get through this article. She keeps singing the song. You didn't think I'd show up with my army and this ammunition on my back. Then suddenly, in the same breath, Evan is somber, looking at the ground. Oh, the mood has shifted now. She's turned somber. It's getting serious now. Okay, she might have been like singing earlier, but she's gonna get serious now. Then suddenly, in the same breath, she is somber, looking at the ground as the setting sun burns an outline around the Gothic-style hotel that crowns LA's Sunset Strip. Quote, that is the one thing I know he did not bank on, talking about Manson. I think he really thought he had me. And of course, where do they choose to do this interview? At the Chateau Marmont. And why is that? Because that's where Evan Rachel Wood met Marilyn Manson. So, I mean, it's just, they've thought of everything here to make this just an enchanting reading experience for you. You know, instead of like serious journalism. Do you know they only briefly mention the lawsuit against her by Marilyn Manson? It's like basically like a sentence or two. That, you know what, Angelina, whatever your name is, that is not journalism. That is pathetic. It is pathetic. There is a serious lawsuit that this man has filed that shows that has evidence. It's not just assertions. They put the evidence in the lawsuit. Okay. That's why my friend Andrea, the attorney, said that it was such an exemplary example of a legal document, because normally they don't even bother putting their evidence in the initial lawsuit like that. Anyway, they put all this evidence in there. They've got screenshots. They've got the FBI letter. They've got the fake FBI letter that Evan Rachel Wood and her friend Ilma Gore drew up. They've got all of this stuff. And there's serious charges: impersonating an FBI agent, hacking someone, swatting someone, conspiracy, defamation, fraud. And yet you're going to write about an Alanis Morissette song? Come on, give me a break. I thought, you know, New York Magazine was better than that. Okay, I'm never going to get through this article, though, if I keep ranting. He, as you may suspect, is Marilyn Manson. And for Wood, being back here brings up complicated feelings. On the one hand, the Chateau Marmont is a notorious celebrity refuge, a place she has come many times to hide out among the lush greenery, tasseled furniture, and extremely discreet staff. But it's also where Wood first met Manson, back when she was an 18-year-old starlet known for playing troubled Lolita types, and he was every parent's worst nightmare, the world-famous shock rocker, 20 years her elder. You can just prepare yourself because the age difference, that's going to be a big thing that they're emphasizing, of course, because everybody knows that an 18-year-old is a total child, okay, and should still be in diapers, probably. Standing near the hotel pool, she points up to the corner of the ornate wraparound balcony where she was huddled that night in 2006. Oh, she was huddled. So she was already, when she met Manson, she was already really vulnerable. She was even, poor thing, she had to huddle at this party. I mean, wasn't she just fucking Edward Norton like a month or two ago in this timeline? I'm going to keep bringing up the Edward Norton thing because she dated an older man in his 30s before she dated Manson, and there's been nothing said about that. Okay, so I want to bring Edward Norton to justice for what he did. If Manson took advantage of her, then Edward Norton certainly did. It sounds like Edward Norton is the one who kind of like broke her in, right? So shit. Anyways. Standing near the hotel pool, she points up to where she huddled that night in 2006 wearing polka dots. Oh my Lord. Oh my God. And avoiding small talk with adults. She remembers Manson walking by in a sparkly gold blazer and saying, "Don't fall." After, she wrote in her journal, quote, "I made a new friend." All right, so she meets Manson. She was huddled in her polka dot thing, just little, you baby girl. She just said, "You baby girl." With this means, this crazy man, this crazy old, he's an old man. And she said, "You baby girl." Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. I really am starting to become a little unhinged myself. Who knows? I might be the next Manson accuser. But only if I can get an Alexander McQueen photo shoot, okay? All right, so since she left him more than a decade ago, Wood has been terrified to name Manson as the person who she says brutalized her over the course of their 4-year relationship. What would happen to her career? Would she be putting her family in danger? Would someone come after her? But now that she has done it, first on Instagram in early 2021, and most recently in Phoenix Rising, an HBO documentary that premieres March 15th, her greatest fear has turned out to be her greatest source of protection. Oh, isn't that sweet? In the documentary, Wood is at times panicked, dressed in loose clothes as she stares into the distance, or literally jumps at loud noises. Oh my God, yeah, she's so traumatized by the non-existent abuse that she suffered by Manson that she jumps. She jumps at loud noises. And that couldn't be acting or anything, right? Yeah, no, she's not. It's not like she's an actress. Okay. But the Wood that shows up at the Chateau Marmont, her creamsicle colored hair falling down a bomber jacket embroidered with a phoenix, is what? What? Okay, I missed this the first time I wrote, what the fuck? What? So her documentary is called Phoenix Rising. The piece of legislation that she wrote and passed in Congress or whatever, that's called the Phoenix Act. And she comes to this interview with a phoenix on her jacket. I mean, these are not serious people. We are not, to quote Bill Maher, we are not a serious people anymore. We're not. I'm glad my grandmother, I wish my grandmother were here so I could still have her around. But in some ways, I just think sometimes about how appalled she would be about what our world has turned into. Okay. So the day after she dropped her social media grenade, Wood remembers her now 8-year-old son. Oh yeah, let's bring the innocent son into it. Her now 8-year-old son asked, "Why are you acting so weird?" "Because I'm free," she replied. "You've just never seen me not have this on my back." Yeah, that's a couple of things there. So bringing up the son, we're not even a page into this, and she's already, they're already exploiting her child. I'm sure Jamie Bell loves this. Jamie Bell, if you're watching this, this woman is crazy. Is there something you can do with this situation? I mean, thanks to Jamie Bell, at least we know that Evan Rachel Wood, we know that Jamie Bell doesn't believe what Evan Rachel Wood has said about Manson. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. But they had a family court dispute over this child that's being mentioned here. And Evan Rachel Wood basically was trying to keep him away from Jamie Bell, and she was using this Marilyn Manson thing as an excuse. And Jamie Bell called her out on it in court documents that leaked to the Daily Mail. So I just want you to understand that the father of Evan Rachel Wood's child, the same one that's being exploited in this interview right now, the father does not believe her and thinks that the Manson stuff is bullshit. It's truth. For his part, Manson, oh, and one other thing also, the kid says, "Why are you acting so weird?" This is a smart kid. This kid has basically cut through all the BS and has gotten to the heart of the matter and the central question. Why are you acting so weird, Evan Rachel Wood? What have you been up to for the last several years? What is going on? Your kid is dead on. I guess that's the Jamie Bell side of the kid coming out there. For his part, Manson is still out in the world eating sashimi alongside... Oh, he's eating sashimi. Oh my God, he's how pretentious. Because I don't eat sushi. Only rich, pretentious rapists eat sashimi. Alongside the rich and famous and collaborating with Kanye West. Since Wood came forward, a total of 16 women have accused Manson of emotional or physical abuse. Okay, I hate this. We've talked about it before. They always lump the accusers together. So not all of these 16 allegations are equal, okay? Some of them have just been completely shown to be bullshit, a lot of them. And some of them aren't even serious. They're lumping in Phoebe Bridgers saying that he made a joke about a rape room. Did Manson making, if he did Manson making a joke about a rape room, did that cause her, is that emotional or physical abuse? But she gets lumped in with the rest. Same thing for that stylist who said that he brandished a gun at a photo shoot, being edgy, wasn't threatening anybody. Again, if it even happened. But okay, moving on. Manson vehemently denies any and all claims of sexual assault or abuse of anyone, his legal team says. After I meet with Wood, here's where they mention the lawsuit. After I meet with Wood, and about a week before the documentary's release, Manson will file a defamation lawsuit accusing her of using fraud and conspiracy to ruin his reputation. In response to the allegations in Phoenix Rising, his lawyer, Howard King, will say that nothing the actor or her, quote, hand-picked co-conspirators have said on this matter can be trusted. Now, that is the entirety. This is a multi-page, extensive interview and article on this that they have written. And that is the entirety of what they say about this complicated lawsuit. Just give me a break. All right. So Wood has long expected some form of recrimination. When the last thing you're afraid of, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to start doing Evan Rachel Wood in a higher voice, a higher pitched voice, so then you understand when I'm quoting her and when I'm not. So when I'm reading the article, I'm going to be deeper like Elizabeth Holmes. And then when I'm doing Wood, I'm going to be more like this. Okay. When the thing you're afraid of starts happening, you kind of aren't afraid of it anymore, she later tells me by phone. I just have to face it. Yeah, you really faced it the other day when they were asking you about it on The View, and you looked down the whole time because you couldn't even make eye contact with people when you're talking about this lawsuit because you know you're in trouble and you know the lawsuit's legit. That Manson is filed. Wood teared up with relief on the way to the Chateau Marmont as we settle at a long wooden table in one of the hotel rooms, outfitted with pale blue velvet chairs and an antique Philco fridge. She's pensive-faced and steady, at times leaning on cliches. Yeah, you noticed that? Oh my God, maybe Angela Chapin actually has some brain cells. Did you notice that she's full of bullshit cliches and platitudes? Yeah, guess who else is? Amber Heard. All right, well, I like that. Even the writer has to admit that Evan Rachel Wood is full of cliches. All right, she frequently looks down toward her black combat boots and punctuates the hard stuff with bursts of incredulous laughter and hand gestures. Yeah, that doesn't sound unhinged at all. Being back at the hotel, specifically talking about Manson, is both strange and very full circle, honestly. I still remember that night so clearly, she says. It was just one of those sliding door moments. Oh my God. When Wood and Manson went public with their relationship in 2000... Okay, I'm going to skim through some of this. Here they're giving just some background on Marilyn Manson, some background on Evan Rachel Wood. And then they get into to heart-shaped glasses. They talk about that. I'm not going to go over that again because we've already talked about it ad nauseum. So, so after heart-shaped glasses, they're saying that after heart-shaped glasses, the music video with Manson was filmed, in which Wood falsely claims that he raped her, even though multiple people on the set know that's not true. There was no sex; it was simulated. Anyway. Says Wood instantly lied to herself about what really happened on the shoot, trying to bury the memory. It's embarrassing, she says, playing nervously with her hair. You don't want it to be your story, and when you tell people, it becomes real. Speaking out about the video brought up heavy emotions she hadn't expected, especially since this particular incident is readily accessible to anyone with an internet connection and morbid curiosities. So it says, you can't, quote, you can't just Google all the things that happened to me and watch them on YouTube, she says. There's humiliation that comes with it. So do you get what she's saying here? They're lamenting, the writer of this article and Wood are lamenting the fact that people, that millions of people are able to watch her being violated in the heart-shaped glasses music video, except she wasn't. Except there was no actual sex, except she was totally into this. She helped him plan it. He got her the highest salary that any actress had ever been paid for participating in a music video. And this is the thanks he gets? Ridiculous. So what they are saying, basically, I just want you to understand, everybody. Do you get what they're saying here? If you go to YouTube right now and you watch heart-shaped glasses, you are participating in the assault of someone, in a kind of intellectual, emotional assault by viewing her in this situation. That's what they're saying when they say, so far, more than 30 million people have viewed the video. Ooh, yeah, because it was a music video. It was made to be viewed, and she wanted that back before she lost her mind. Phoenix Rising is Wood's chance to reframe a story that has been seized upon by tabloids and social media trolls intent on painting her as Marilyn Manson's jailbait crazy girlfriend or his jilted lying ex. I think those are good descriptors of her. She first approached Amy Berg, the Academy Award nominated director, best known for her investigations into childhood sexual abuse in Hollywood, from a place of desperation. So Wood approached Berg. In other words, Wood, from the get-go, Wood had it in her mind that she wanted to turn this into a documentary. Okay, so when people asking me, what are her motivations? Well, she's got a number of them. First of all, I think she has borderline personality disorder and toxic personality, and I think there is something really wrong with her. And she even said in her own documentary that she's unable, or her brother said it, that she's unable to distinguish fact from fiction. But I also think that she really wanted this documentary. She wanted to be this activist. All right. So, Wood had recently been contacted by other accusers. No, she hadn't been contacted by other accusers. A number of them knew each other for a long time, and she recruited a bunch of accusers. Why are you saying she was contacted by them? She recruited them, and we know this, and we have evidence of it. Anyway, so they talk about this a little bit. It says, while Berg told Wood that she really did not want to make a film about Marilyn Manson. Oh yeah, I bet she didn't. She realized that to highlight larger themes about domestic violence, she'd need to include his backstory. Yeah, you did more than include his backstory. I've seen half of the documentary and the entire thing is about Marilyn Manson. So that is entirely duplicitous, Amy Berg. Either you're lying or Evan Rachel Wood is lying about what she said. But that's ridiculous to say, the lady doth protest too much here. No, I didn't want it to be about Marilyn Manson. We just needed some backstory. Well, the backstory kind of took over your whole documentary, sweetheart. So maybe you need to fix that in the editing room. I don't know. There's a freedom that comes with ripping off the Band-Aid and doing the things you're most afraid of, whatever. Making the documentary has been cathartic, but it's also been hard to have her most private moments on full display, which is why she keeps displaying them over and over and over in various interviews and stuff. It's the first time her parents, who appear throughout the documentary, have heard about their daughter's experience in detail. Yeah, they never heard about these experiences before because they actually never happened. And his parents loved Manson and they were all cozy and they went on vacations together and everything. But now Rachel Wood claims that, he isolated her from her family and blah, blah, blah. Berg had deep access to Wood's Berg is the director of this documentary. Berg had deep access to Wood's personal life, excavating the volatile childhood and precocious celebrity that made her easy prey. Though not all of Wood's friends showed up to support her throughout the process, which was perhaps the toughest thing of all to stomach, kudos to those friends who didn't show up, she doesn't want to get specific, instead saying, I noticed that as a survivor, you can get attacked for being able to tell your own truth. And if somebody isn't ready to do that, they can project it onto you. Yeah, there's projection going on for sure. 11 years ago, Wood looked back at Manson before getting into a car and leaving him for the last time. She's still amazed she got out alive, and when she thinks about all the survivors who don't, she becomes impassioned and wide-eyed. It could have easily been me, she says, her hands flailing out to either side. I could have killed myself, and my story never would have been told. In fact, she tried to back in 2010, the suicide attempt, and describes how Manson's abuse ramped up to include rape while she was unconscious, torture with an electric wand, and drugging her with meth. It was the darkest time in my life, honestly. I reached out, this is the interviewer saying this, I reached out to people who were around both Wood and Manson during this period. A couple said they couldn't speak with me as Manson's legal team had gotten to them first and even threatened his former assistant with retaliatory legal action. Please, give me a break. They didn't threaten the former assistant sued him and with lies, and they responded. Are they not supposed to do that? Are they supposed to just, Manson's legal team is just supposed to be like, yeah, just do whatever, slander, tell lies, whatever. We don't care. We're cool with that. Yes, of course they're going to threaten. That's what lawyers do in the case of an injustice like this. They're going to say, hey, you're telling lies. You're defaming this man publicly. This is slander. You conspired with other people to do this. This is going to be a problem for you legally. Okay? They're allowed to point that out. They mention I love how they also mention what I just said about Jamie Bell. They say a court document she filed last year as part of a custody battle with her ex, Jamie Bell, details how she installed bulletproof glass windows, a steel door, and a security fence around her Los Angeles home, and then moved to Tennessee to keep the child safe. Excuse me, you're going to say that, and you're going to leave out the most important part, which is that Jamie Bell said that this was all BS. And he doesn't believe, and neither do I, that she installed any of this stuff, okay? She didn't show any evidence to the court of doing these things, but what she did show to the family court was that fake FBI letter that she and her girlfriend at the time concocted. Yes, she submitted a fake FBI letter, the fake name, all of that. She submitted that to family court. All right. On February 1st, oh my gosh, on February 1st, 2021, a Navy SEAL officer stood outside a rented home while she had a Navy SEAL officer posted outside her home when she disclosed that that Marilyn Manson was her abuser. So I guess it's like I said the other day in my video, she really did expect she would have us believe that she really did expect some Scarface style ambush. Those of you who've seen Scarface, you know at the very end what happens. There's this huge raid on his house. All right, on February 1st, 2021, a Navy SEAL officer stood outside a rented home while Wood posted a statement to Instagram that began, "The name of my abuser is Brian Warner, also known to the world as Marilyn Manson." Now, they say a little more, they give one more or a couple of more lines to Manson's lawsuit. It says, in his lawsuit, Manson alleges that around this time, Wood and Ilma Gore, an activist who appears in the film, galvanized an army of women to take him down by giving them scripts to recite and forging an FBI letter in an attempt to shore up Wood's allegations. His lawsuit claims that the material also duped HBO into distributing a one-sided documentary premised on the existence of an entirely fictitious federal investigation. But I mean, it is like a 6-page article when I print it out, 7, 8 pages. And Manson gets his lawsuit gets a total of 3 sentences? No. Anyway. Gore, who Wood says is, quote, no longer affiliated with the Phoenix Act and hasn't been for some time now. Oh, interesting. So now she is distancing herself from Ilma Gore because, Ilma Gore is the main one in all this. She's the one who I think and others think was really the brains, if we can say that, behind this operation. And she's featured prominently in the movie Phoenix Rising. So Evan Rachel Wood, you can try now because you realize that you have tied yourself to this incompetent and dangerous toxic person who's going to take you down. You can try to get away from that now, but you were like wedded to this person in multiple ways on camera. And it's you and her in the documentary. I've seen the first half, you and her. And she was the one who was emailing people on your behalf and trying to recruit people for this hoax. The FBI says it can neither confirm nor deny that an investigation is ongoing. Yeah, I can tell you that an investigation into Evan Rachel Wood is almost certainly ongoing now because she did fake an FBI letter and impersonate an agent, and all of that is true. While Wood is committed to her ongoing advocacy, okay, I'm going to skip through some of this because I want to get to the part where she meets Manson. I feel like that is the really just some of the stuff in there is just so ridiculous. But a little bit more here. It says most of Wood's free time is spent with her kid. She shows me a video of a recent laser tag session where she's crouched behind a wall in her home wearing a protective vest while the Terminator soundtrack plays in the background, etc., etc. So they're talking about the kid more. She talks about how she wants a female president. Is that what she's talking about too? Well, anyway. All right, and then toward the end of the article, it says, after naming him, meaning when she named Manson, Wood noticed an instant transformation. She suddenly had more energy and says that some chronic pain disappeared, including stomach issues often triggered by mental distress. Most of all, she has felt herself becoming more present and remembers how coming forward was like a release of shame. There's so much power in that. If you're a woman who can't be shamed, you're pretty much unstoppable. I mean, yeah, so that would be fine if she were telling the truth. And if you're coming to this video fresh, if you don't know what's going on, I invite you to please look at my videos on my channel. And there are other websites, other Instagram pages too, and YouTube channels doing great work on this. It's not true. So she's taking these lies and she's spinning out this sort of like heartwarming victim story. It's not true. While Wood is committed to her ongoing advocacy, a topic she'd much rather focus on than her personal story. Wink, wink, right? I'd much rather focus on let's not talk about Manson. I mean, he is just the subject of my entire documentary. Actually, I think there's probably some truth in this. I do think actually that Evan Rachel Wood would rather that she had not had to construct this entire false story and lie and now be in the crosshairs of a lawsuit. I think she probably, that's why she didn't name him for so long. When she first started talking about this assault and abuse stuff, she didn't name him for a while. And as people have pointed out, at first it was a story of two abusers. And one of them was a bartender, and it was like a different story. And then it morphed into this thing of like now it's all Marilyn Manson. And so, again, I think there's a reason why she didn't name him initially. A topic she'd much rather focus on than her personal story. Her relationship with Manson has been all-consuming. Domestic violence trickles into so many aspects of your life. You kind of see your peers start to pass you by. What does that mean? It might seem absurd for the star of HBO's Westworld to feel insecure about her career, but Wood was forced to ditch 2 projects while working on the Phoenix Act. She was forced to. She has had to walk off a few photo shoots that triggered memories of the pictures she said Manson used to take of her. Oh! That explains then why they did these really fancy Vogue-looking photo shoots with Evan Rachel Wood, because those types of photos must be the only types of photos that don't trigger her. Because Manson used to take pictures of her, and it triggers her when people take pictures of her, even though she's an actress and she's always in front of the camera. But anyway, it triggers her, and so I bet that's why they're like, look, sweetheart, we know that you're triggered. We know that you have this trauma, and it involves picture taking. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you Alexander McQueen clothes, and we're going to get this great photographer, and you're just going to look so beautiful. That won't trigger you, will it? No, it's great. I'm triggering there. she's had to walk off a few photo shoots, blah, blah, blah. Whenever a camera came out, I just knew that that meant I'm not going to sleep. I'm going to get yelled at and abused, possibly for days. Wood would often miss work meetings back when they were still together because she wasn't allowed to leave the house. Oh, you guys, there's something going on here. You guys, why did she slip in that she would often have to miss work meetings when she was with Manson? Why is she putting that in there? Do you know why she's putting that in there? She's putting that in there because I have heard that when she was dating I've heard from multiple people that when she was dating Manson, that because of her drug use and her instability, she would often have to call in late to work. I heard that this happened with Mildred Pierce, for instance. She would have to call in, or someone would have to call in for her, but she called in late to work. I have that from sources. She called in late or absent or whatever. And so she's trying to frame it now as like that was Manson, like keeping her inside. And instead of the fact that she was strung out on drugs and she was emotionally unstable and she wasn't able to hold her professional duties together. God, this one is sneaky. And she's got, lawyers advising her and stuff like that. The same struggles have shown up in her personal life, though she has had a string of relationships since splitting up with Bell and spoken out many times about her bisexuality. Intimacy of any kind is still hard. She's fiercely protective of her independence, but doesn't want to scare anybody off. It's too late for that. Oh man. By the way, yeah, if this is actually a good PSA. If you are a man or a woman and you ever have the opportunity to date Evan Rachel Wood, let me just offer you one word of advice. All right. That's basically the article. There's other stuff like here and there. I skimmed over some of it, but I just wanted to give you a taste of how ridiculous this is. And if you enjoyed my reading and interpretation of this, I invite you to look at a video that I will link below in the comments where I went over Esme Bianco's interview in The Cut, which was, I think, just as cringy, maybe even worse in some ways. It's hard to top those Game of Thrones references in that article when they talk about Esme Bianco having dragon energy and mimicking a dragon with her tongue stuck out. Yeah, it's hard to top that. But the Alexander McQueen photo shoot, it's pretty good. Pretty good. All right. Well, if anybody would like me to make up accusations about Marilyn Manson in exchange for Alexander McQueen photo shoot, just give me a call. Angela, whatever your name is, call me. All right. To everyone else, I am putting out videos on this thing just as fast as I can. My goal was this week, because I knew this week was going to be all about the Evan Rachel Wood documentary. My goal was to get 2 videos out a day. And so far, I've mostly been able to do that, but it is a lot of work, and I appreciate your support, even any small donation, PayPal, Patreon. See the links below. Subscribe to me on YouTube and follow me on Instagram, and I'm going to have more for you tonight. And my reaction to Phoenix Rising will be coming out. Parts 1 and 2 will be coming out tomorrow. Thank you.